The rain fell in sheets that November night, cold and unforgiving as Marcus Webb pushed his janitor's cart across the empty parking lot of Henderson Tower. Most people wouldn't notice a man like him, 53 years old, wearing a faded blue uniform, invisible to the executives who hurried past him every day without a second glance. But Marcus had learned long ago that being invisible had its advantages. It meant he saw things others missed. And on this particular night, what he saw made his heart stop. A young woman stood on the wrong side of the bridge railing, her designer coat whipping in the wind, her hands gripping the metal bar behind her. She was maybe 25, with dark hair plastered to her face by the rain, and she was crying, the kind of desperate, soul-deep crying that Marcus recognized from the worst night of his own life. 15 years ago, he didn't think. He just moved. "Don't jump!" Marcus called out, his voice barely audible over the storm. He dropped his cart and walked slowly toward her, hands raised like he was approaching a frightened animal. "Please, just wait. Just 1 minute." The woman's head turned sharply, her eyes wide with surprise and something else, maybe anger that someone had interrupted her final moment. "Stay back," she warned, her voice shaking. "You don't understand." "You're right," Marcus said, still moving closer, careful not to startle her. "I don't understand what you're going through. But I know what it feels like to think there's no other way out." He stopped about 10 feet away, close enough to reach her if she slipped, far enough to give her space. "I know what it's like to stand exactly where you're standing." Something in his tone must have reached her because her grip on the railing loosened slightly. "You don't know me," she whispered. "You don't know what I've done." "Maybe not," Marcus agreed. "But I know you're somebody's daughter. Somebody's friend. You matter to someone, even if you can't see it right now." The woman let out a bitter laugh. "My father would disagree. I'm nothing but a disappointment to him. Everything I touch turns to disaster." Marcus inched closer. "Is that what he said, or what you think he thinks?" She was silent for a moment, and Marcus pressed on. "My daughter Lily, she's about your age. We went through some rough years when her mother died. I was so lost in my own grief. I couldn't see that she was drowning right in front of me. One night, she tried to do what you're thinking about doing right now." His voice cracked. A stranger stopped her. Some college kid who happened to be walking by. He sat with her for 3 hours, just talking, until she was ready to step back over that railing. The woman's shoulders began to shake with fresh sobs. "I cost my company millions of dollars. I trusted the wrong person. And now people are going to lose their jobs because of my mistake. My father built that company from nothing, and I destroyed it in 6 months." "Did people die?" Marcus asked quietly. She looked startled. "What? No. Then nothing is destroyed. Money can be earned back. Companies can recover. But you—" He gestured gently toward her. "You can't be replaced. Whatever happened, whatever mistakes you made, they don't define your worth as a human being. You don't understand the business world," she said, but her voice had lost some of its hopelessness. "You're right again," Marcus said with a slight smile. "I clean buildings for a living. I've been doing it for 30 years. But I understand people, and I understand that tomorrow always looks different than today. Things that seem impossible at night have a way of looking solvable in the morning." He took another step closer. "My name is Marcus. What's yours?" She hesitated, then whispered, "Claire." "Claire Henderson." Marcus's eyes widened slightly. Henderson. As in Henderson Tower, the building he'd been cleaning for the past 5 years. As in Richard Henderson, the CEO whose corner office Marcus vacuumed every night. This was his daughter, the one whose photo sat on Henderson's desk, though she looked nothing like that, smiling. Confident woman in the picture. "Claire," Marcus said gently, "I'm going to be honest with you. I work in your father's building. I've cleaned his office almost every night for 5 years. And you know what I've noticed? He has 3 photos on his desk. One of his late wife, and 2 of you. One from your college graduation, and one from what looks like a family vacation. Those are the only personal items in his entire office." Claire's face crumpled. "That was before I ruined everything. Before I proved I wasn't worthy of running the company. Or maybe," Marcus suggested, "those photos are there because you're the most important thing in his world. And right now he's probably going out of his mind with worry about where you are." As if on cue, Marcus's phone buzzed. He glanced at it and saw a company-wide emergency text. Claire Henderson missing. If anyone has information, contact Mr. Henderson immediately. The message had been sent 6 times in the last hour. He showed Claire the screen. He's looking for you. Whatever happened at the company, he's not thinking about that right now. He's thinking about you. Claire stared at the messages, tears streaming down her face. I sent him an email. I told him I was sorry. I thought it would be easier for him if I just disappeared. Easier? Marcus shook his head. Claire, I've lived through losing someone I loved. There is nothing worse than that. Not bankruptcy, not public failure, not anything. If your father lost you, it would break him in a way that could never be fixed. He extended his hand across the railing. Please, come back over. Let me take you to him. Or if you're not ready for that, let me take you somewhere warm and dry where we can talk. You don't have to make any permanent decisions tonight. For a long moment, Claire didn't move. The rain continued to fall, and Marcus's arm began to ache, but he didn't lower it. Finally, slowly, she reached out and took his hand. Her fingers were ice-cold and trembling, but her grip was strong. I've got you, Marcus said, helping her climb back over the railing. As soon as her feet touched the safe side of the bridge, her legs buckled and Marcus caught her. She collapsed against him, sobbing into his shoulder while he held her steady. It's okay, he murmured. You're okay. The hard part is over. He called Richard Henderson directly, and 20 minutes later, a black car screeched to a halt near the bridge. A tall man in an expensive suit jumped out before the car had fully stopped. Richard Henderson looked like he'd aged 10 years in a single night. His hair disheveled, his face pale and drawn. Claire! He shouted, running toward them. When he reached his daughter, he pulled her into his arms so tightly that Marcus thought he might never let go. Oh, God, Claire. Oh, God, I thought I'd lost you. I'm sorry, Dad, Claire sobbed. I'm so sorry about the company, about everything. I don't care about the company, Richard said fiercely, pulling back to look at her face. Do you hear me? I don't care. We can rebuild a company. I can't rebuild losing you. You are worth more to me than every dollar I've ever made. He turned to Marcus, his eyes glistening. You saved my daughter's life. How can I ever repay you? Marcus shook his head. Someone saved my daughter once. I'm just passing it forward. He started to walk back to his cart, but Richard caught his arm. Wait, please, I need to know your name. Marcus Webb, sir. I'm the night janitor in your building. Richard's face showed shock, then something like shame. I've never even noticed you, have I? Most people don't, Marcus said simply. But that's okay. We all have different roles to play. 3 months later, Marcus received a call asking him to come to Mr. Henderson's office during business hours. When he arrived, he found Claire there too, looking healthier and more peaceful than she had that night on the bridge. The company had weathered its crisis. The fraud Claire had uncovered had actually led to recovering most of the lost funds and strengthening their internal controls. Marcus, Richard began, Claire and I have been talking. We've established a foundation focused on suicide, prevention and mental health support. We'd like you to be our first outreach coordinator. You'd travel to schools, businesses, community centers, sharing your story and training people to recognize when someone needs help. Marcus was stunned. Sir, I don't have any qualifications. You have the most important qualification, Claire said quietly. You saw someone who was invisible to everyone else, and you cared enough to act. That's what we need to teach people. Marcus took the job, and over the next year, his talks reached thousands of people. He always told 2 stories, his daughter Lily's, with her permission, and Claire's with hers. He explained that heroes don't always wear capes or hold important titles. Sometimes they're just ordinary people who choose to see someone else's pain and refuse to walk away. On the anniversary of that rainy night, Claire and Marcus returned to the bridge together, this time with Lily and Richard. They stood on the safe side of the railing and dropped flowers into the water. Below, not in mourning, but in celebration of second chances and the strangers who become family when we need them most. Thank you, Claire said to Marcus as they watched the flowers drift downstream. For seeing me when I'd made myself invisible. Marcus smiled. That's the thing about being invisible most of your life. You learn to spot others hiding in plain sight.